Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. It's Wednesday. It's February 4th. This will be our chart lesson for today. And very obvious trading range. We broke a little higher and then traded lower late in the day. That was a pretty nice sell-off for after 2 o'clock. I generally don't mark anything after 2, so none of those are marked. But that was a very nice sell-off if you happen to get a piece of it. But most of you know I generally don't um, take any new trades. Now, if I'm riding a runner, you might have ridden this up and sold off somewhere up here. But anyway, let's talk about what I saw. You can see I backed out there. You can see the obvious trading range. Two tiers with a midpoint in it. Um, Pretty straightforward kind of day. We overshot it at the lows a couple of times, overshot it at the highs. Um, but pretty standard trading range kind of day. But let's back out a little bit and talk about the trade. So a day like this, you want to go long and short. Um, First trade I saw was right here about 7:30 or so. Um, Notice the new low. It's lower than these two swing lows. Pull back, you get a first entry. Pull back, second entry. So it's a second entry right off the trend line. There was a first entry here, but I didn't really like that one. Um, Even though it was right off the trend line, I think you were better to wait. And even though this one probably would have worked, it would have worked. There's no probably to it. I think you were better just to wait and see what happened. And when it broke higher and turned down again, just go short right there. Quick, easy move to a new low. You had a little two-tiered channel working down a break. You overshot it first, which that's a clue your break's probably coming. This was 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, so um, I wasn't here to see that part. I didn't catch it till right in here. But very nice move right out of the gate, and then a very nice move. Um, this is an obvious trading range. There's multiple highs here. By the time this broke lower, we had some multiple lows right there. So you could treat this like a failed break lower, but more importantly, you had your break and a couple of legs down to a new low, and look at that reversal. And it tested it twice, as it came down, bounced, came down, tested it again, and then reversed. And I mean, this one is iffy. It could be green, but on a trading range day like that, when you get that failed break, especially that far away from the EMA, it's coming back to the EMA at a minimum. A lot of times you want to wait on your second entry, but this was, if you went to a smaller chart, you could actually see a second entry there. But I just like that one, and that was the trade. A good trade, quick, easy scalp. Um, you didn't get any big runners out of it, unfortunately, but it was a nice, easy trade. There was a second entry here, but then you're right back into the EMA, very close to the down trend line. I think you're better off to wait and see what happens. And then you get a pull back here. And notice that this is a new low, so you got a pull back right here. First entry, pull back. So there's a second entry short right there. It's not really a failure. It would have worked. There's not a good short setup, so there's no short mark. But when it bounces, right there where you're expecting prices to possibly bounce. I like that for a failed second entry short. Looking for it to go to the other side of the range. Another quick, easy scalp, but then it backs up again. There's a second entry long right there. It is the first break of the channel, but look how bearish that is. And then by the time you can get in, it's way up here. So I think that's one you just got to skip. It's not a very good setup. Um, And notice what happens. It breaks higher finally and pulls back, and it breaks lower here and goes right out the top. Gives you a nice trap, a breakout pullback long. That's the better setup. And look what happens. It takes off, and it actually ticked back one more time right there. So you actually could have entered even here, and I probably need to mark that one. Sometimes I'll try to mark two trades in one, but then there's some people that want to just glance and see all the trades. So I'm going to go ahead and circle that one too. But notice this is lower than those swings there. So first entry pullback, that's a failed second, and that's a sure trap right there. And look at it go. So you could have entered either place there. Both of them would have caught you a runner that went all the way to the top. Really nice trades. Um, and then we're moving down. This actually should be right there. Um, and there's a short trap, I mean a long trap right here. You get a first entry. You're better off to wait on the second entry, which comes right there. But again, not a very good setup. And then it tries to go higher on the failed second entry long and then turns down. I do think you need to use a limit order here because it's right back into what was kind of resistance. It's kind of one of those thin points. I think a stop worked either way, but I would enter that even just because it's such a big bar. 38. And it would have been a 4-tick failure if you had have entered on a stop on my chart. But really the entry, let me get this bar out of here. Really where the entry is, it's not a 4-tick failure. Because it was a trap, you want to go short right there on a stop below that bar right there, the green bar. And so your entry there is 38.50 and it goes all the way to 37. So you get out of that one easily by entering that way. Actually, it's 38.25, and you get just enough. Like I always tell you, a lot of these trades will get just enough to give you what you need, and not one tick more. And that was one of those cases. So, but I don't like going short on a stop right there because of those matching lows and how big that bar is, and and you see it went back and went just a tick or two and then headed back down again, and that's what'll happen to you. So you don't want to be entering too close to the lows. So I liked catching that one right out the other side. It was a quick, easy scalp that way, got exactly what you needed, and then it backs up and turns back down. And that was the first break of this little channel. And you figure you just came off the lows, went to the highs, so where do the odds say you're going? Probably to the lower other side. And that's where we ended up. But that's a first entry counting off the lows, but there's kind of a double top right there. It's a little failed break lower, but you're looking for that retest of the lows at the very least. So I like that one to the short side. It allows you to get short at a high point on a pullback, and really, they're bringing it back for, this is a lot of overlap here too. So they're bringing it back, and it's like a second chance to get in. The ES is so efficient that these important price areas, you can just about bank on what's going to happen. And but that was a nice chance to get short. And then you get a new low, pull back first entry, pull back, and you get a second entry right there. It's by that time you got all that overlap. So just sit tight, and then guess what? You get a trap, failed second entry long right there. And look how bearish that is. Just go short right there. And even then, it takes a minute. It gets an easy scalp, but then it bounces and it breaks higher. And I didn't like entering here because it was too low. If that would have been a little bearish bar up there and you could have gone short right up here, I would have probably wanted to enter that one again. But with it being right down here, right next to where we bounced early previous, you just have to wait. And, not much more you can say about that. But then guess what? It gets right to the same support area. It breaks below these three areas here, and you get a little doji. Normally I would say you want to wait on that second entry, similar to what I talked about over here, but this is an obvious range now, and we've got this channel working down a break, a move to a new low. Even if you saw this as a spiking channel and drew it this way, you still had your break here to move to a new low. And there's several ways you can look at that, but no matter what, the bigger pattern is the trading range, and you get this little bar right here. So you get a chance to get in with very limited risk, maybe 2 or 3 ticks stop, with all the odds on your side that you're going at least back to the EMA and maybe all the way to the other side. And you would have probably could have caught a runner on this one and ridden this all the way up. If you hung on until you reached the top, you could ride it all the way. But I probably would have exited in here since we turned down here last time. And you probably should have been thinking your measured move from here, and then move that over here. And you can see we actually overshot that a little bit on this way back up. And but nice place to be looking for a target. And there were some other places to enter in here to ride that up. But what I really liked about that was that, once you overshot the measured move and you got these traps, there's 3 nice trades in here. And these were like bonus trades for me today. I did take these, but I'll talk about them in a minute. but it shoots straight up, and then you get your break. There's a second entry long right there, but look how weak that is. Look at your signal bar. It's almost an inside bar. There's one, two, three, four bars stacked up there. There's stems on both sides. There's a big bearish bar in the middle. It's just a congestion area. And so even though you're looking for prices to make a new high, you got to be real careful there going long because it's not a good setup. So just sit tight, and when it breaks higher and turns down, there's a trap there. Now this is a huge bar. Um, I think it worked even if you used a stop. Let's just check it. But you definitely, as big as this bar is, 38, 37, that would have been a 4-tick failure if you didn't use a limit order. And I almost drew this one green, but it's so obvious that it's a trap. But it is one of those trades where you don't want to be going short. Right, at the bottom of that bar, you got to sneak in at least a tick or two back in there. And a tick is the best you probably could have done, and you would have got your scalp, and then it bounced. So, I mean, I really almost wanted to make that one green, but look at that bar, and it broke higher and turned down. Um, the only thing that really makes it suspect is that it didn't go out on the same, it broke higher, went to the bottom, and it kind of got hung there. It didn't close on its very low. There is support resistance line across there. So this is real close to borderline being green. In fact, after thinking about all that and sitting there talking about it, I'm going to change it to green because it's really close. Because like I said, if you went short on the stop there, it was a 4-tick failure. And, you would have either got stopped out or you would have had to exit early or whatever. And it would be hard to exit early on that trade too. So, I'm going to change that one to green. And then you got a new low, pullback, and then there's a second entry long counting off the high right there. But look where you're at. Look at that bar. Same thing. Horrible signal bar. You can't be going long above that. You're real close to this. Just kind of sit tight and see what happens. And then you get that turn down. And it was tempting to go short there. If you had of it, would have worked. But I don't think you want to go. You want to wait on a second entry. And instead, it ends up bouncing. So I like going long there because of notice the new low, pullback first entry, pullback second entry short that fails. I like going long thinking, hey, we're going to shoot on up and go a little higher. And you never know when you're going to catch a trend that just keeps going. So I like that one for a long. And, it's borderline making that one green one for a short because it's obvious now that that's held every time. And let's just see if it would have worked. You even could have used a limit order there. 41 and a quarter, got just enough like usual. But generally off the top on a day like this, I'm going to say wait on the second entry and see what happened each time. If you didn't wait on the second entry, you might have got trapped in there. So you're just better off to wait on the second entry. And it does shoot on higher and it pulls back. You get a first entry, pull back. There's a second entry there, but that's not a very good setup. So just wait, and then it ticks higher, and you get the failed second entry. But then there's a lot of overlapping bars there too. But I still like that one for a short right there, and it was because it's a trap. I was talking about this with another trader, and I actually ended up getting 3 little bonus trades here. I was pretty much already done, but I couldn't resist them. And this one I almost talked myself out of it because of the overlap there. But it was, we had that measured move. We actually went a little too far, and we kept trying to go higher, and you get the failed second entry long. What I did do here was use a limit order, although you didn't necessarily have to. It worked either way. And then you get another little 2-legged pullback and a second entry short right there again. Again, it looks similar to that because you get a little overlap, but I liked taking it again. And it pulled back, went lower. And this is actually I take that back. This should be this bar, and this one's supposed to be over this bar. I didn't take the second entry there. I took the little trap, and then when it turned down, got short. But then it ticked back up, and it almost shook me out of that trade. and then turn back down again. Then you know you got the failed second entry long, and then look what happens. Boom. Then you definitely got everybody trapped. It wasn't so clear that it was a trap right here, even though your smarter trader, it went higher and then went out the low side. Hard to resist, but when it ticked up, if you weren't already in that, you want to go short there, and I would have, then you also want to consider adding on there and look at that thing go. And you get two huge legs down, and really nice trade, uh, especially if you caught this tail end because these were runners here, and you probably look to try to ride this as far as you can, and you might have been thinking all the way down to here. So when it came back and went higher here, you'd probably have to exit. So if you were still in it, but anyway, I don't think you want to enter here. It wasn't clear that. It turns out this is a midline, but it wasn't clear. We had the overshoot here, so it wasn't clear if it wasn't just an overshoot. But turns out it's a two-legged um, channel there. And what you end up doing is you get your overshoot here, and you get a pretty much equal one down here, and then it reverses. Now you got one working back. There is a failed second entry short there. Not a very good place to take one because we're not back to this yet, and so you don't know if you're just headed back to there or if you've really got a trap. I think this is one you don't take. It would have worked if you took it, depending on where you entered, because it did come back and go one tick lower. When it went one tick lower than those matching lows and then turns back up, there's a long there. It's a second entry long too. There's a new high, pullback first entry, pullback second entry. But the biggest thing was you tested this once and then two more times, and there's some other reasons. Plus, it's the first break of this little channel working back up, so you figure you may push up for a new high, which you do. So there's some other reasons to be thinking long. Some of you might have been thinking short there, but I don't think you want to go short right there. I think you're better off just to wait, and then you get the little trap and go long with it. Then you work back again. You get a first entry right here. Nice bar, but again, I don't see how you can take that. There's a trend line working through there. It's right into that trend line, and it would have worked, but I don't see, really what's happened now is prices have just kind of more got stuck in the upper channel, and so that is a retest of those lows. So there's some reasons to think some people might want to take that, but I'm not going to mark it. I'm not even going to give it green because I think we were trying to head down here, or should have been. That's what you should have been thinking, because we just came off of the high side. Generally, you're going to go to the low side, even though we do go higher first. But when you get this big bearish bar here, then I say, I say, hey, you got to take that one, and that's a nice move there with the runners. And then you get a second entry right there. I went back and forth about this one, but that's a breakout pullback short. Notice how we finally traded through there and closed lower below that support area, and we pulled back and tested, and look how bearish that bar is. And that was another one that gets just enough to get you out with 4 ticks, and didn't get a tick more, and then it reverses. And then you get a second entry short right there. Notice that bounce. It's a little harder to see, but I really thought we were going to head on down to the other side there, and I really like that one. You definitely want to use a limit order here because that's an inside bar to there, but it's so bearish. But if you saw that and it broke below that and you dropped a limit order in there, that was an easy trade. I'm not sure if it worked if you didn't use a limit order. Let me just double check it. There's a lot of them that were real close today, and if you entered that, it would have been 38.50, and that would have been another 4-tick failure. So I probably should make that one green, but I'm talking about it. So the key is you definitely want to use a limit order, and you could have gotten filled a couple of 3 ticks back into that bar, and then it dropped on down. And I remember watching that one and thinking, there were a couple of these that I watched, and I was really nervous of whether I'd made the right decision, but you do what the price action says, and you follow the rules, and you hope it works out. And you actually, it was really hard not to consider going back long right there, but I think you were better off to wait on the failed second entry, which didn't come till here. Notice that new low, pull back first entry, pull back second entry, and this one got just enough to get you out, and then it backs up again, and then it takes off again. But this got you right into the 2 o'clock hour, and so the only reason I like that one was because of the trap, and it got you just enough to get your 4 ticks again, and then boom, it reverses and it traps people out down here. Notice the kind of the MO here of what it did. It really started right about here doing it. It would trap, it would go below the lows a tick or so, or a few ticks. Notice those matching lows. It went a tick and it trapped people. Notice what it did right here. It kind of broke lower and trapped people. It did the same thing. Again, notice those matching lows kind of broke lower and trapped people. And so that was kind of the MO today. And this is like right at the 2 o'clock hour. If you saw this and you took this trade, I wouldn't blame you, because it's somewhat of a repeat pattern of what prices did all day. And it's a nice bullish bar. And you've got a double bottom here that's higher than this low. And then you got a couple of higher lows. So there's no break of this little channel working up yet. So there's actually there was. That was the first break, but till there was no break. So you figure you're going to push and maybe make a new high here, and there's enough room there. So, but it's right at the 2 o'clock hour. But if you saw that and you took that, that was a great move. And this was not totally unexpected. It might have went higher than you might think at the time, because if you're looking at that, you're thinking we're probably going to go back and test these highs and maybe these, but it shoots on through there like a knife through hot butter. So it turns out to be a great trade, and that's the kind you want to catch, those traps. And look, here's a short trap. Notice that big sell off, and then everybody's thinking, hey, we're way overdone, let's get long here, and they're not following the rules, and it reverses on them. And look at that. Another great move. But you don't want to be entering this late in the day. This one was just like right there at the borderline. But that's what I saw today. Some really good trades today. And I know a lot of people struggle on days like this. I like these kind of days because they're so predictable. The main rule that you got to follow is be careful entering in the middle. Notice that once it was obvious this was kind of a midline, that most of those trades are green in there. I still got a couple of red ones in there, but most of them, notice how they're green. But what you want to do is you want to look to buy the lows and sell the highs. And generally, I'm more apt to buy a first entry off the lows than I am to sell a first entry off the highs. And just typically because there tends to be more buyers that come in than there are sellers. That's my theory on it, is that you'll get trapped up here trading a lot of these first entries. Look, not always, but a lot of time right here you would have got trapped on that first entry. You would have got trapped on that first entry. Look at that one. This one would have worked. But a lot of times you'll get trapped on those first entries. But look at down here on the lows, just about all the first entries take off, and they never look back. That one took off. That one took off. All of these down here took off. But you don't see that as much off the high side. So that's generally why you'll see me circle a few first entries off the lows and very rarely circle any off the top. So, but yeah, a lot of people find these days very difficult, but I generally have some of my better days. The hard part is when you have multiple days like this and then suddenly start trending, because next thing you know, if you're not careful, you'll catch yourself trying to look for a reversal at every support or resistance area, because that's what you've gotten used to. And just vice versa, when it trends a lot like so and then suddenly goes into a range, you keep trying to get long at the highs and short at the lows. But once you get more experience of this and you can look at this real quickly and recognize what's going on, that this is a range type day, really you could tell from right there. Look, all the prices are within that one move right there. And then you bounced again. So when you add it up here, and look, there's multiple turn downs there. You could tell really early by the time I came in this morning, it was pretty obvious this was probably a trading range. you're gonna have trends and trend channels within the trading range if it's big enough. Um, but it's still the bigger picture is you want to sell up here on the right signals and buy down here on the right signals and be they're if this is acting as support, you're more apt to probably buy it, and if it's acting as resistance, you're more apt to try to sell it. But generally, your best trades are at the lows or the highs of the range, and the stuff that gets right tangled up in the middle, unless it's real clear or there's some kind of trap, just skip it, and you'll probably do pretty good. But if you're constantly second guessing yourself and saying, is this a range or is this, are we trending? Then, because what'll happen is most people will watch this trend up and it'll get up here and they'll finally say, I can't watch it anymore. I got to get in. And they go long. And guess what? Then it's going the other way. And they watch it come down and down and down. They say, I can't watch this anymore. And they start getting short in here. And next thing you know, it's going up. And so that's what happens to people. And I know because I've been there. I used to do the same things and I couldn't figure it out. I'm like, why in the heck? I watched it go up and up and up, and no sooner than I get in, the deadgum thing's going the other way. Or I've watched it go down and down and down, and no sooner than I finally decide I got to join in, it's going the other way. What are the odds? But that's just because it's all psychological and it's in your head, and you're letting the price action dictate. Or actually, you're not really letting the price action dictate what you're doing. You're letting your emotions dictate it. The price action is just doing what the price action does. So there's a good learning opportunity there. So think about that again. Don't let your emotions dictate what you do. Follow the price action and do what it tells you to do, and don't question it. Most of the time, you'll be right if you follow the rules. You'll still get some wrong, but don't let it shake you up. That just means the next one's more apt to be right. And it's a numbers game, just like a casino. They don't win every hand. And in fact, a lot of games in the casino, they've only got a 1 or 2% advantage. But they know if they just keep playing and following along, that over time, they're going to win more hands than they lose, and they're going to end up with most of the money. And that's what happens because they got an advantage. If you sit out at blackjack, I forget what it is, 51 or 52% is there. So they got a 1 or 2% advantage. It's one of the best games that you'll have. Some of the best odds you'll get. Most of them are a lot worse than that. And over time, you might go in there and win sometimes, but over the long run, if you just keep playing blackjack, the odds say you're probably going to lose money. And the casino's going to win. And what we do is really no different. But because we got the odds on our side, we don't want to be gamblers. We can't take a risk of being 50-50 or less. We want the odds to be on our side. So if we follow the rules, the odds are in your favor. And if it doesn't mean you won't have a loser. It doesn't mean you won't get fooled. It doesn't mean you won't read the price action wrong. But as you get better and you make less mistakes with the odds on your side, you're gonna eventually start making money. If you can reduce the mental mistakes. So anyway, gonna wrap it up for the day. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.